I think district and site administrators, this would be a great session for them. Site coordinators, it would be great as well. DP teachers, so whether it's within their own class and considerations of how they maybe market their class, how they talk about it to families and students, and then how do they support that student success.
Welcome to IB Matters, a podcast for those interested in learning more about IB education. We interview teachers, students, and educational leaders around the world to learn how the International Baccalaureate Framework of Education has improved their practice and how you can use it to improve education in your school. Hi folks, welcome back to IB Matters, and I'm here with another Quickcast. These are a series of short podcasts that are intended to promote vendors and presenters at the IB Global Conference. And since we're recording this in 2025, we're talking about the conference in New Orleans in mid-July. And today I have a local, Robert Kohnert, who works for the Minneapolis School District. And Robert has a session coming up in New Orleans. And I'd like to introduce Robert and also have him talk a little bit about what he does and then what his session is going to be about. So welcome to the podcast, Robert.
Thank you so much for having me.
And tell us, what do you do for the school district?
Yeah, so I currently support all the college credit programming for the Minneapolis Public School District. So that's pretty much any opportunity for students to earn college credit while in high school. I support that programming. A significant part of that is supporting the IB Diploma Program and Careers Program, as we have kind of a pretty expansive IB offering within 5 of our high schools within Minneapolis. So supporting the site coordinators and site administrators and teachers at the site, but also working with district administration to understand the role of IB and the value of IB within our school district.
Yeah, and that's a key part from my experience working with you, Robert, is that you're a data guy and you've been able to draw on that to kind of inform the administrators that do make the decisions in the district. And it's been helpful having you on the team because of your information that you have gathered through researching all the different programs you work with. Yeah, and credit to the Minneapolis Public Schools, MPS, for their commitment to IB. They are the biggest single supporter of IB schools in Minnesota, and we have a lot of IB schools in Minnesota. So your role there is really, really, really key. So let's just jump right into the global conference session. Tell us a little bit about the session that you had accepted and you're presenting this summer.
Yeah. So the name of the session is 3 Steps to a More Equitable and Successful Diploma Program. And that will be on the Thursday, so Thursday, July 17th, from 2 p.m. to 3:15 p.m., Gallery 5 on floor 2. And really the focus of this is on kind of the work that I do each year with every site in Minneapolis, where I really try to focus on kind of 3 main areas. So the first is really around enrollment in the IBDP courses, using the enrollment data internally that we have to really figure out how students are taking these courses, are choosing to enroll in certain courses, and then really identifying what factors might be influencing those decisions. Every site is a little bit different in how they do IBDP. So we have one site where if you take an English class, it's an IB class. The options are Lang & Lit, and then performance. And that's
so that's an IB for all for the English classes. Yep.
Yeah. So we have several of the schools really trying that Lang & Lit for all pilot. And then we have others that aren't quite there yet, and that's okay too. And so really kind of using enrollment data to figure out who's taking the courses and potentially what are the inputs that, and the perceptions that inform those decisions.
Nice. So that's something you'll go through in the session and kind of flesh that out for people to see what you've found and what's been working.
Yeah. Yep. And kind of really with a focus on how do we make just the basic enrollment in these courses as representative of the student population at the school as possible.
Excellent. Yeah. And I know that's a key thing for us anywhere, but in Minnesota, it's really a big thing that we like, and we're pretty successful at it, according to the Department of Education data, that our enrollment in IB classes matches pretty closely the school demographics.
Yep. Yep. And so, yes, we want more students, but we also want it to be accessible to as many students, and be mindful of the racial and ethnic demographics of that, socioeconomics, et cetera. So often just adding more courses doesn't mean that you get more representation, actually,
Yep.
that you have to be really mindful and focus on trying to engage students who historically have not taken these courses.
Yeah. And what's the second part of the conversation?
Yeah, so the second part is really focused then on how do we get those students taking the courses to take the assessments.
Yeah.
And that can it creates almost a funnel, each of these three steps. So you start with students in the course, then how do you get them to take the exams, and then how do we get them successful? So the second is really focusing on what are some strategies to support students and families saying, yes, this is valuable to take these assessments. And so we've been really lucky with our Department of Education, where they've been supportive in reimbursing a large portion of our testing fees. And then in Minneapolis, we cover the difference. And so that is how we've tried to really support, where there is no financial kind of burden put on students and families. That's not the case everywhere.
No, it's not.
And so trying to figure out, within this session, what are different realities and how can we problem solve around that, to try to break down some of those walls and some of those barriers.
Is that something you'll open up to the attendees to kind of talk that through a little bit, or are you just going to share some of the ideas that you guys have done?
Yeah. So I'm really hoping to have this be a time where I present kind of these different parts. And give each of the attendees some time to reflect on what their situation is, what are some of the strengths that they have in their program, and what are some challenges, and then collectively kind of work through some of that, and understanding that it's a limited amount of time, but also given some space where we can, as a community, discuss some of these different challenges that we need to overcome. So
that's excellent.
Yeah, and I love a good graphic organizer and handout, so we'll have some of that, so
good.
people can at least take something away as a starting point for how they can really start going through some of this process at their school, because it can be a lengthy process, but I think it's time well invested, and so just going through that in a shorter amount of time is really kind of what the session is trying to focus on. So,
and the third part.
Yeah, and then the third part is how, after we get the kids in the class, after we get them signed up for the assessments, how do we get them to be successful on the actual assessments and hopefully earn a score that is high enough to get them some college credit. And so we really look at kind of the raw data files that we get each July from IB, and we cross-reference that with our student data information, and we can get really down into some detailed data around racial and ethnic demographics are seeming to pass at different rates. If there's certain teachers within the district that seem to be, for example, IB biology, we might have an IB biology teacher that has is just performing at a certain high rate. Well, we're able to then engage that teacher and really talk to them about, what are some of the things you're doing? What are the strategies you're doing, and build out supports and professional development to support ongoing student success. We also see that there's strategies around student practice exam and preparations for exams that can be really helpful. So just being mindful of those things to make it so students are as successful as they can be on assessments. And yes, we want them to earn the eligible score for college credit, but also as a district, we see a lot of value in seeing growth from, hey, this school 1 year, we had an average of a 3, and now we've moved it up to a 4. So let's celebrate that. And so trying to identify some of those strategies around student success is kind of the third big bucket that we focus on.
Oh, great. Well, you mentioned that the attendees are going to come out with something physical, that is some kind of graphic organizer and other things. What are you most excited about sharing?
Yeah, I think just really hearing the range of kind of programming at different sites. Every IB conference I've been to, every training I've been to, that's really something that I enjoy is every school is unique.
Yeah.
And every school has different strengths and challenges that they have, and just being in community with each other to kind of discuss how do we make our school systems better for our staff, for our students, and for our families. It's something that gets me really excited, and I'm really looking forward to for the entire conference, but especially in this session where I'm facilitating it. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And your target audience, you figuring you're talking to mostly like DP and CP teachers, or are you talking district people?
Yeah, so I think district and site administrators, this would be a great session for them. Site coordinators, it would be great as well. DP teachers, I think, would also get something from this. So whether it's within their own class and considerations of how they maybe market their class, how they talk about it to families and students, and then how do they support that student success. So I really think if you're involved in DP, you can get something out of it, but especially if you're able to kind of influence more site-wide decisions or district-wide decisions, I think that would be especially helpful for you to attend this.
And those folks will walk out with?
Yeah, hopefully the very beginnings of the ability to audit their programs and kind of reflect on who's taking the courses, who's registering for the assessments, and how can we make this a more successful and more equitable program. Wherever you are, you'll have kind of the very beginning steps of having those conversations, and then I hope to have people hopefully reach out to me during the school year for help and just kind of keep building the community around expanding this wonderful program that is IB to as many students as we can around the world. So
I want to just point out or remind people that you'll be on Thursday, the 17th of July from 2 to 3:15, Gallery 5, second floor. Yep. And this is just a taste of it. And Robert, thanks for coming on and helping us promote your work and the work of the good people here in Minnesota. And I wish you luck and safe journeys.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing all that can attend the session and meeting all the IB people at Global in a couple of weeks. So thank you so much, John.
You bet. Thanks.
Yep.
If you aren't able to attend Robert's session in New Orleans, you'll be able to see the slide deck either by going to ibo.org or by contacting us using links in the show notes. Again, Robert's session will be Thursday, July 17th at 2 o'clock in Gallery 5 on the second floor. I myself will be at the IB Global Conference in New Orleans that week from July 14th through the 17th. Stop me and say hi if you listen and grab a sticker or button from me. I'll also have my remote recording equipment, and I'll be trying to capture some of the energy of the conference as I visit with people. Thanks again for listening.